This video is brought to you by HalloCasa. Our tool transforms independent local real estate agents to global real estate agents. Create your own profile for free and get contacted by international investors. Sign up with the link in the description. Hello and welcome everyone to our 137th session of HalloCasa. My name is Michael and today I'm talking to Patrick Postill. Patrick is head of partnerships for a UK-based international payments company, foreign currency broker actually, called RegencyFX. He's got 11 years of experience working in the foreign currency market and international payments industry. Patrick, pleased to have you on the show. We've been talking a lot also offline already. Also good that you're connecting with other people on the HalloCasa platform. Why don't you introduce yourself to our audience?
Perfect. Well, firstly, thank you for inviting me along today, Michael. It's great to see you again. So yes, my name is Patrick Postill. I am currently the head of partnerships for a foreign currency international payment specialist called RegencyFX. We are based in the UK. We're in a place called Cornwall. Some of you may know where that is. Some of you may not. If you do, it's a lovely place. If you don't, it's at the far southwest corner of England, pretty much near a place called Land's End. The reason our business is based in Cornwall is a lot of our competitors are based in the City of London, so they have high operational costs. We are based down in Cornwall as it allows to keep our operating costs to a minimum, which means we can pass on our savings to our customers. So just to give you a little bit of background, I've worked in the foreign currency markets for around about 11 years. I've worked in different roles. I've worked in customer-facing roles. I've managed teams of currency traders. And for the past 8 years, I've been working in the partnership space. Now, what the partnership space is essentially it is my job to build and maintain relationships with businesses that have clients that need the foreign currency services we provide. So I work with international estate agents. We work with a lot of estate agents in Spain, in the Costa Blanca, so sort of Denia, Javier, Villamartin, Moreira. And then we also work with some in the South Costa Blanca. So that would be sort of Murcia. We also work with some in sort of central Spain, so sort of down near Almeria. And we also work with some estate agents down in the Costa del Sol, so sort of like Malaga and Estepona. We also work with estate agents in Italy. We work with a few in Portugal. And we're always on the lookout for new partnerships. So if anybody listening today is interested in speaking to me about partnership, I'd love to hear from you. So essentially what we do is we form strategic partnerships with an estate agent. And when an estate agent is selling a property, they will put them in touch with us and we can sort of discuss their options with foreign currency with a goal to saving them money. A lot of people don't really think about foreign currency until it's too late, or they decide to use their high street bank to convert the currency. And then afterwards, they realize that a company like ours could have saved them quite a considerable amount of money. So this is who we are and this is what we do.
Give us an overview why in the first place companies like yours exist. Can I not just like transfer money from one bank in one country to the other? Can I not use, I don't know, tools like Western Union, TransferWise, or maybe Citibank? I think is always like another solution which people use for cross-border transactions. What is basically the benefit of using tools like RegencyFX?
Yeah, great question. And it's a question we often get asked. So essentially, companies like ours have come about because there is a huge gap in the market. Banks have traditionally always done foreign currency transfers for clients, but banks are very transactional. So if you were to call your bank today and ask for a quote on buying, say, £500,000 worth of euros, they would just say, this is the exchange rate. This is how much it's going to cost you. Would you like to buy it? Yes or no? What we do is a lot more consultative. So we offer an account managed service. So any of our clients would actually look at the bigger picture, understand the timescales of when they're purchasing a property, because quite often if somebody's buying a property, there will be a significant period of time from when they agree to purchase a property and when they complete and make the final payment. And in that period of time, exchange rates can move wildly. I mean, they can move like 5, 6, 7, 8%. So if you've budgeted to buy a property at a certain exchange rate And then by the time you come to complete, the exchange rate could be massively different, which means the cost of your property is significantly more expensive. So a company like ours offers tailor-made solutions to help our clients navigate the complex foreign currency markets. Also, banks are quite greedy. Banks tend to fix an exchange rate in the morning, and they will keep the exchange rate the same throughout the day. Now, I don't know if you know much about the currency market, but exchange rates move around every 3 seconds. And throughout the day, you can see significant spikes. So a company like ours, we are live in the currency market throughout the working day. So if the pound to euro exchange rate suddenly spikes in one of our clients' favors, we can get on the phone to them, let them know now is an opportune time to buy some euros or to buy some US dollars. So companies like ours really exist to help our clients save money and offer a dedicated service because touching back on banks have hundreds of different products. So you don't really have a specialist person that just deals with currency. A company like ours, all we do is buy and sell currency. So we're actually experts at what we do.
Now you mentioned the use case of real estate transactions. How can I imagine basically the gains using a tool like yours or a software service provider like yours when I move, let's say, an amount of 1 million US dollars from one place to the other, or maybe let's do it differently, even 200,000, because we're talking mainly about the down payment, which I assume. How much gain do I have, and what's then therefore the impact, and who of the involved people can benefit from it?
Yeah, certainly. Great question. So what I've done is I've kind of made a few examples that we've sort of come across recently. So what I've done is I've specifically looked at the pound to US dollar exchange rate and also the pound to euro exchange rate. So over the past 12 months, the pound to US dollar exchange rate has fluctuated by 11.1%. And also in the same period of time, the pound to euro exchange rate has moved by 5.3%. So as I mentioned, sometimes when you're buying a property, these properties can be bought off plan. So the completion, so from when you put the down payment down to when you complete, it could be 12 months, it could be 24 months. So if we look at the pound to US dollar exchange rate, like I said, over the past 12 months, that's moved by 11.1%. If you were to convert £500,000, so £500,000 into US dollars, the difference between the bottom exchange rate and the high exchange rate translates as 55,500 US dollars. So that's a significant amount of money. So our job as a currency broker is to try and keep our clients on the correct side of that movement. So in effect, we can make their property cheaper rather than them committing to buy a property. The exchange rate moves against them. And then when they come to complete, they find out their properties just become 11% more expensive. If you looked at that on the pound to euro exchange rate, if you converted £500,000 into euros, if you took the lowest exchange rate in the last 12 months and the highest exchange rate, the difference on the conversion would be 26,500 euros. So these are significant sums of money. We've had clients in the past that have committed to buying a property. They put a reservation fee down. They haven't actually had any thought about how to manage their exposure to currency risk. They put the deposit down. 6 to 8 months later, they've gone to complete. They've budgeted for a certain exchange rate. The exchange rate's moved against them due to poor economic data, pandemics, geopolitical events. And now they suddenly found that they need to find an extra 5 or 6% to complete on their property. Some people, that's not a problem. But some people are in a sticky position because they now don't have enough money to purchase the property. So they either have to try and sort of do some refinancing to release some additional funds. In extreme circumstances, they may have to sort of pull out of the property sale, which means they may lose their deposit. So the services that we provide, as I've mentioned, will insulate customers against the foreign currency risk and make sure their budgets stay within their means, and it means that the property doesn't suddenly start to become more expensive.
It makes absolutely sense. Can I not do it myself to, I don't know, undergo your service fees and whatever? Just here playing devil's advocate. Like, is it something I really need to have a service provider, or is it also like a way to circumvent your services?
Yeah, another great question, Michael. So let me give you a bit of context about the foreign currency market. The foreign currency market is the biggest financial market in the world. To put it into context, 6.6 trillion US dollars is traded every single day in the foreign currency market. The currency market is also open 24 hours a day, 5 days a week, and exchange rates fluctuate every 3 seconds. Now, it's important to understand what drives the foreign currency market. So 80% of the foreign currency market is driven by speculation. Now, these are huge investment banks, huge hedge funds, huge financial institutions that buy and sell different currencies for a profit. Slightly different to shares because it's not a long-term strategy. A lot of the trading is done on a daily basis. What causes people to buy and sell different currencies are economic data. So, for instance, it might be GDP figures coming out of a country, employment figures, what is the base rate of interest. All of these factors will determine which currencies a hedge fund might decide to buy or sell. So if all of the data coming out of the UK is really positive, the pound becomes quite desirable. People will therefore start buying pounds, which then puts the price of the pound up against the US dollar. So, like I said, it causes a lot of fluctuation and a lot of movement in the markets. If you don't have a job and you can afford to spend your time looking at a computer screen all day, you could probably make a relatively good job of doing a transaction yourself. However, most people have busy lives. They have a job, they have a business to run. So what they tend to do is leave that to us. It's the same as if you're buying a house. In certain countries, you can buy a house without using a conveyancing solicitor. It's not really advised to do so. I wouldn't attempt to fix my own car. If I had a problem with it, I would go to a professional. So people come to us because we give them professional advice. We can give them a professional service, and we can demonstrate to them in real time how we can help save them money. Now, going back to the foreign currency market, when big hedge funds start trading billions of pounds worth of currency, that creates something called foreign currency risk. And foreign currency risk is the movement of opposing currencies. So, for instance, the back end of last week, some really strong economic data came out from the UK, which caused the pound to strengthen against the euro to almost a 36-month high. It also did the same against the US dollar. Now, the average person in the street might not know this, but we obviously know this because we're live in the currency markets. So we can communicate to our customers and say, look, Mr. Customer, did you know that if you need to buy some euros, today is the best rate it's been for the last 36 months? Would you like to buy some euros? So we can give our customers the right type of advice for them to make an informed decision. So back to your question, you can do it yourself. If you were transacting small amounts, the losses are not that great. But when you start talking about buying properties for 500,000 or $1 million, as I previously mentioned, if you get on the wrong side of the negative exchange rate movement, you could be looking at losses of $50,000, 20,000 euros. It's a lot of money if you get it wrong.
Absolutely. What for trends do you see in the market? Is there anything which is driving maybe innovation or legal aspects which you're always like exposed to the most, maybe especially like also towards 2025? Anything in particular which you see might drive some change?
Yes, what we're seeing at the moment is there are a lot of neobanks that have popped up in the foreign currency space. Now, a neobank is something like TransferWise, which is now called Wise, a business called Revolut, or Starling, or Monzo. And what these are payment service providers that offer some of the services that banks offer, but they don't have physical branches like banks. Everything is done in app. Now, these services are great. I personally use them when I go to Spain on business or when I go on holiday, because you can just put some money into the app, convert it into whatever currency you want at a pretty decent exchange rate, and then just use your debit card like you normally would. Now, these are really great for small amounts. One of the pressures and one of the problems we're coming at the moment is a lot of customers that are buying properties think about using these types of apps to obviously buy a house, maybe in Spain, France, or Portugal. And as I mentioned, these services are great if you're transacting small amounts, but when you're transacting larger amounts, quite often there might be compliance checks that are done by banks or anti-money laundering checks, and payments can get held up and delayed. These types of services only give you a customer service inside the app using an AI chatbot. So if you've got £500,000 or $500,000 in the ether floating around somewhere, it can be quite frustrating trying to speak to a chatbot to find out where your money is. Whereas a company like ours offers a traditional telephone-based service, and we can intervene and run some traces and find out where your money is, and obviously get it to where it needs to go. So yeah, that's the main sort of trends at the moment. People are using a lot more of the new sort of neobank apps. And I think when the pandemic happened, it forced a lot of the older generation of people that weren't so tech savvy. It's almost forced them to become tech savvy. So we deal with a lot of clients now, like I said, that think they can handle these transactions using a Revolut or a TransferWise. They will try and do that. And then what might happen is they may need to get a deposit in Spain on the same day. A company like Wise can take up to 3 or 4 days to get the money over to Spain, whereas we can get the payment there the same day. So quite often they might start using one of these apps and then get us to intervene and actually do the transfer, because it's a lot quicker and more cost effective for them.
Absolutely. May I ask you one thing, because you mentioned actually those neobanks, and there's like, sometimes some cases or sometimes which we see in the news regarding money gets locked, suddenly money is not available anymore, or also like some legal issues which they have on their end regarding compliance. How safe is my money with RegencyFX?
Yep, another great question. I mean, I don't like to sort of talk negatively about competitors, but there's been quite a few of these neobanks who've been in the news recently because they've had quite lax AML, which is anti-money laundering controls. One of them, which I won't name, got a huge fine recently because it was onboarding clients, not doing the proper due diligence, money laundering checks, letting them use their services, and then the FCA have caught up with them. So what we do is we use top tier liquidity providers. So these companies process our payments, and all of our liquidity providers that we use for our international payments are FCA regulated. Now that's really important. So FCA in the UK is a financial conduct authority. So whenever you conduct a currency transfer using RegencyFX, for instance, when you send your money to us, it goes into a ring-fenced account with one of our FCA liquidity providers. So it's ring-fenced and protected by the FCA. So if anything happened to our business, not that we're planning on anything happening to our business, but if anything did happen to our business, your funds are not mixed with our business funds. They're in a ring-fenced account, so they are safe and they are recallable at all times. So yeah, clients' funds are 100% safe. And that's
Patrick,
not just with RegencyFX, that's with any other currency transfer.
Everything, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Patrick, I really appreciate our conversation. You gave us a very interesting overview of the market itself. What is the difference between a normal bank transfer and also your way? You talked about alternatives. You talked about also like the impact and the financial benefits which I would have if I use a service like yours over a traditional one. You also taught us about new trends out there in the market, and also again about the way you secure the money along such a transfer. As a final thought and maybe concluding remarks from your side, is there anything you would like to share with the audience which we haven't touched upon?
Yes. Going back to the difference between a service like ours and the banks. So as I mentioned at the start, banks are very transactional. What's the exchange rate today? This is the exchange rate. Would you like to buy some currency? Some of the things that companies like ours and other companies do is we can offer a product called a forward contract. Now, as I mentioned, there is going to be a delay when you commit to buy a property and when you make the final payment. We have the facility to fix an exchange rate for up to 12 months in advance. So as I've mentioned previously, exchange rates can fluctuate over the course of a week, a month, a year. Say, for instance, today you were looking at securing €500,000 to purchase a property in Portugal. For a 10% deposit, we can fix today's exchange rate for up to 12 months in advance. So that means that even if the pound suddenly starts to decline against the euro, when you come to complete on your property, you don't have to find another 5 or 6% because you've locked the exchange rate in at a favourable rate. So you know exactly how much the property is going to cost you. So that's a really great tool that a lot of people should be using when they are buying a property. Another service that we do offer to our clients is called Rate Alerts and Market Watch. So as I've mentioned, the currency market trades 24 hours a day. Say, for instance, you wanted to buy some euros if the rate suddenly hit 121. So every pound would get you 121 euros. What we can do is we can put an automatic order into the market. And if it's suddenly at 3 a.m. in the morning, the pound to euro exchange rate hits your desired rate, we can automatically go and buy those euros for you. When you wake up, you'll get an email saying, just so you know, we've managed to secure your euros at the exchange rate that you want. And then you can fix that exchange rate for the next 12 months. So these are services that companies like ours offer, but companies like Revolut, TransferWise and banks don't offer.
Makes sense. Perfect. Patrick, thank you so much for your time. How can people reach out to you?
So if anybody would like to have a conversation about currency, my email address is patrick@regencyfx.com. So patrick@regencyfx.com. My mobile number is 07824 616 586. And our company website is www.regencyfx.com.
Perfect. Patrick, I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for your time and also for explaining it and also allowing us to give us an overview of the entire market and the service offering. I wish you well. Sending a big hug to Cornwall and we talk soon.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Michael. Take care.
Bye-bye. This video is brought to you by HalloCasa. Our tool transforms independent local real estate agents to global real estate agents. Create your own profile for free and get contacted by international investors. Sign up with the link in the description.